One in 5 Americans suffer from chronic pain. Many are now using CBD for relief.
Activists are hoping pot could be legalized nationwide by the end of 2019.
When you look at premium cannabis, the Illinois House approved legalizing recreational marijuana.
Welcome to The Budding Report, a weekly show centered around all things cannabis. Please join us in welcoming our host, Charles Horton, and his co-host, Melissa Nasits, as they share the latest in cannabis news, conduct interviews with top leaders in the cannabis space, and promote some of the latest in science and innovation. And now to our host, Charles Horton.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Budding Report. Melissa, welcome.
Oh, it's always good to be back in the studio with you, Charles, and I'm so excited for today's show.
Good to have you. And then you and I think, are pretty well grounded. You got a trip to San Diego, but Dr. Shaw, every time he joins us, he's in a different place. Dr. Shaw, where are you at today?
I am in Apache Junction, outside Phoenix, and I'll be joining you guys here, and then back probably to Indiana for a bit at the next show.
Well, I'm kind of jealous of you being able to get out and get around. I'm getting kind of landlocked, not being able to leave Dallas. We have a great episode for you today. One of the most interesting interviews that I've done is with the White House doc coming up after the commercial break, Dr. Antoine Chevalier, and he will be joining us. And we also have Joe Deighan of Taat Herb Company coming in. But first in the news, we have another state coming legal on marijuana. So New Jersey is the latest state that appears to be getting up and ready, going legal. I just love the sound of that, and hope we get soon back on the ability to look at it on a federal level and get that federal cloud out from over our heads.
I honestly believe that that's probably got to be the biggest stumbling block at this point, with so many states having so many different options. It's hard. I mean, even you're just driving across the state line, you don't know exactly what the options are, what the legalities are, which can be a huge thing, especially for people that do a lot of traveling.
So a recreational vote is expected, and some of the big marijuana companies are putting their investments in ahead of time. As a business owner, I know uncertainty always makes me really nervous. I don't know that I would be ready to put money into businesses that aren't even legal yet and may not become legal. They must be really certain of the vote coming out.
Well, I think there's even more of a challenge, because I know that with the licensing, they've already had an issue. They're supposed to be quite, as far as New Jersey in particular, should be quite a bit further along in the number of licenses that they have. And if they're having that issue now, I can only imagine, even if it becomes legal, what the formalities lie ahead to get to the point where they can actually obtain those licenses.
Well, I like progress, and I absolutely hate investing into companies and things that don't turn out to be good. I thought I invested in my marijuana stocks at the bottom of the curve, and they're still about 50% down. But I would expect a huge jump if we get that federal legalization happening. You have any money in the marijuana stocks, Melissa?
So little. I had actually taken out what I had, and I think that because I was so diluted and I didn't know which companies to invest, there's so many players available that right now just trying to figure out which ones to go with has been my biggest challenge. So I'm hopeful to get back into it, but I'm not currently deeply vested.
The valuations these companies have been getting when they go public is ridiculous. So my company, Budding Capital, looks to make investments in companies pre-IPO. Dr. Shaw, what do you think? Do you have any money into the marijuana stocks? Are you happy about all the states moving towards legalization?
Yeah, well, first I'll comment on Melissa's question. So I invested early on, and the way I wanted to hedge was use an ETF, and I invested in the first ETF that is outside of the Toronto Stock Exchange, actually HMLSF, I believe is the ticker. Essentially to address Melissa's concern. I'm not an expert. I don't have time to investigate which would be the most robust of the companies to invest in. So they've done really well. I subsequently invested in the first US ETF, which did not do well, and exited that. So I think eventually when things start to make sense long term, investing in this industry is going to be similar, as many have said, to what happened in prohibition. It's just that it's growing.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see where things come. I too was watching the different exchange-traded funds, and I know one of them in the United States was doing horribly and ended up delisting and closing down. So that's bad for the industry. But anyways, we're going to take off for our commercial break, and right after we come back, we have Dr. Antoine Chevalier looking for that interview, the White House doc. It's going to be an interesting one. See you right back.
Coming to you after our hike that we finished. Buster exercises 3 miles. Today is a recovery day because he did 8-mile hike over the weekend, broken up into 2. But what I want to share with you is this company here called Simple Changes. I learned about them and I absolutely love the concept. It's wellness, community, and organization. So as you can see here, I love the wrapping. I love purple, and it comes with 3 products. So I've been trying them out. First, it's the hemp oil spray. Then it's the hemp oil dropper and the hemp oil ball. So I'll be trying all of these out. I've been exploring them, exploring the ingredients. I met with the team on Zoom. Really, really, really neat product. And I love the fact that they also want to incorporate healthy practices. So they come with a little journal and something about simple success guidance. So Simple Changes.
Well, welcome back. As Charles stated earlier, we're very excited to welcome our next guest, Dr. Antoine Chevalier. He is a renowned doctor known as the White House Doc. He is an international lecturer, author, researcher, teacher, and practitioner working in the US, Japan, and Europe. He does have 2 doctorates of philosophy. His research includes concussions, PTSD, TBI, tremors, depression, suicidal ideation, pain management, overcoming opioid and drug addiction, diabetes, and autism. A bronze medal recipient of the Sons of American Revolution for his service and dedication to aiding more than 100 homeless veterans to overcoming suicidal tendencies. And it's a service he is providing free of charge. I am so excited. There's so many great topics here. I just hope we have enough time. So just right off the bat, since this was one of the first questions that came to my mind, where did the White House doc come from?
Well, I've been working, I had the honor and the privilege to work for the Executive Office of the President of the United States since 2001. So it's been 19 years now. Next year, it's going to be 20 years as a functional medicine practitioner, and I offer my services there as a contractor. So this is technically my 3rd administration. I've served under President George W. Bush and President Barack Obama, and now I'm serving under President Donald Trump.
Now, the question that popped into my head, why can't you get President Trump to stop eating fried chicken and fast food?
Well, I don't treat the president. I treat people who work for the president. I don't have access to the president at all. So that's a big difference. But, I have tremendous amount of respect for people who are in the highest office of the U.S. government. It's so much stress. And it's really hard for people to imagine it's such a pressure cooker. So it's really my honor and privilege to assist the best I can these amazing federal employees who are sacrificing a lot for our country. I can tell you that.
I have great honor for that. Tell us a little bit about yourself and where you're from. You have a very distinct accent.
I do. I'm from deep South Alabama. So no, I was born and raised in France, and here I'm a U.S. citizen. I deeply believe in the U.S. Constitution, and I do my best to support the U.S. military. On my nonprofit, I treat for free homeless, suicidal veterans that also suffer from PTSD, drug addiction, chronic pain, concussion, traumatic brain injury, insomnia, major depression disorder. It takes me about 15 to 22 hours of treatment, and it's pretty much all gone, and they transition successfully into becoming productive members of society. I also treat sex trafficking survivors and also criminals. That's the nonprofit. That's where my heart is. On the for-profit, I treat, of course, concussion, people who suffer from concussion, NFL players, hockey players, MMA, also people who go for a car accident, Anyone who has a head injury can be treated, and anyone who suffers also from drug addiction and suicidal ideation can see me, etc. So I keep myself very busy.
Well, I just want to say thank you for your work with veterans, especially. That is amazing, and the fact that you're doing this as a nonprofit. Again, we all thank you for that work, definitely. So,
well, thank you.
So I know you've been honored for that work. What can you tell us a little bit about what some of the honors that you've been given for doing this work?
Yes, I've been treating for free for years now veterans, but especially homeless veterans. As you know, there is a real crisis in our nation. A lot of veterans in the streets commit suicide. The statistics out there is 22 to 24 a day. So to give you an example, I had, Kevin in Las Vegas, and Kevin is a Marine, and he fought in Fallujah in Iraq in 2003. There was the bloodiest battle since Vietnam. And when he came, he lost 21 of his comrades on the battlefield. And when he came back here in the US, he lost 52 of his brothers due to suicide. So we have another war. The war on suicide.com is also one of my websites, and I partner with Major Daryl Hill. My other partner is a retired Lieutenant Colonel Marine David Benoff. I usually work with these two individuals, and I have access to these homeless suicidal vets, and we can catch them before they commit suicide. So that's really what keeps me very, very busy right now. So I do have a passion, and for the US, I'm a US citizen. I'm born and raised in Europe, but this country is exceptional. So I really do my best to support our men and women in uniform who come back from battle and have to face and deal with another battle, which is more internal. And as you know, suicidal ideation is very tricky, and it's very evil. So I came up with functional medicine protocols that actually increase neuroplasticity and connectivity in the brain by sometimes more than 70%. I do have functional MRI from Japan. I work with scientists in Japan that proves that, what we do in the brain, basically heal the brain, and it really does not come back. So they are able to, after the session, apply for a job, fill up the application, and they're able to keep their job because they are mentally and physically functional again, which allow them to transition from being homeless, suicidal, into productive members of society.
Now, you talked to us about having a one-day treatment that will permanently increase your cognitive ability. I'm 52 years old now, and I'm finding that I'm remembering less and less and less. Talk to me about your work in that department.
Yeah, I would love to have you. You're welcome here anytime. So I'll use two little machines and a microdirect current, and I will be stimulating acupuncture points, trigger points, motor points, tender points, which successfully will re-regulate the autonomic nervous system, peripheral nervous system, and central nervous system. So the secret sauce is in the protocol, right? So that's where it gets very complicated because you have to figure out which points to stimulate first, and there is an order into it. So that took me years to figure out, but now we have it. And so you will actually experience an increase in neuroplasticity and connectivity. We do have lots of video testimonials on people, especially one was Glenn Brown, who was also a military veteran, Air Force, and he was a hockey player. He had more than 15 concussions. He had tremors, would not get out of his bed, was severely PTSD, suicidal, major depression disorder, and a drug addict. And it took me about 12 hours and no more tremors, and he's out doing public speaking and doesn't touch any drugs anymore, and he had his life back. And I use in the protocol, I use CBD nano water, so a nanoparticle of cannabinoid in the water. I can structure the water with a machine, and I customize and put in the water digital homeopathic frequencies. That I do not use THC. Okay, so has to be said. And I know there are studies out there about THC, but I do not use that at all. It has to be 100% CBD, 0% THC. And I had really remarkable results with it.
That's fantastic. I'm going to take you up on that offer. I think that'll make a great follow-up show for you to come back on after taking your treatment. Now, I heard you that you are a big believer and a big proponent of CBD, but not THC. Tell me just a little bit more about that.
Correct. Yeah. So I know there are research out there. Okay, scientific. So I've been published. Okay, I've been published in peer-reviewed scientific journals, and one of my paper on concussion is on the NIH website. So I know the scientific publication world, and I know what it takes, to publish a paper and go through the peer review process. So I do have a lot of respect for all scientists and all publications. Okay, but I do have to say, in my practice, what I found out with my machines and my own mini lab and my own way of assessing what it does to the brain and what it does not to the brain, right now I would not trust THC for any mental illness. I do believe that we need to have a lot more research on this and kind of playing with fire a little bit with this, in my view. So I'm being very mostly cautious and wise, and to just use only CBD and nanoparticles makes it more efficient and extremely safe. So, and it's just one thing I've been using for years now, very successfully, and I have absolutely no side effect. Which we see it's still a little bit too premature to say whether if we can guarantee no side effect or not. That's why I don't want to use THC yet.
Thank you for your answer. Dr. Shaw, to you, please.
Well, certainly, I think what you're doing is outstanding, and
Thank you,
there's
sir.
a lot of focus on the idea of neuroplasticity involved in a lot of these brain diseases, or the lack thereof. And so it makes sense to me if you're able in your own way to stimulate neuroplasticity, you're going to see the positive results that you're speaking of. Adding to that, and I'm sure you wanted to mention that CBD more recently has been shown to have its own neuroprotective and neuroplastic promoting aspects to it. And I would totally agree with you with respect to THC, with its potential applications towards psychiatric mental health issues. If anything, it's been more linked to potentially promoting certain aspects of, let's just say mental instability, whether it would be psychosis, paranoia, etc., or anxiety. However, I think you'd agree that there is sufficient evidence for its use as an analgesic in pain management, where I think it can be explored further.
Sure. For the pain, I use those devices, microdirect currents. It's like electrical therapy, combined with acupuncture, trigger point, motor points, tender points, etc. So, what I'm really looking for is I think in terms of integrity as a natural medicine practitioner, I really want my patient to be done. Okay, like one session, it doesn't matter how many hours I have to spend, but I will pretty much get it done. And I don't expect the patient to come back. Okay, I don't want the patient to come back. I want the patient to be done with the issues if he or she comes and see me. And if the patient wants to come back, it's for another issue. And I think that, to me, is what I would call integrity as a natural medicine practitioner. And when it comes to pain, what I found out was the combination of the Western medicine and Eastern medicine, which is Western medicine would be electrical therapy, the understanding of the nervous system, the osteopathic model, and the trigger points, tender points, motor points, in combination with acupuncture, which is obviously the Eastern medicine. And those protocols just do a remarkable job when it comes to chronic pain or even concussion, and it just does not come back. Like, for example, sciatica or even carpal tunnel syndrome. I mean, one session is done. So that's why I would the CBD for the brain, absolutely amazing, and also for other medical conditions. However, on the THC side, I'm still a little bit more cautious. I still would like to see more research done on what or the true effect of the THC on more on the mental, emotional side. And I think there is some people or some study also that are showing that there can be negative consequences. So personally, I don't want to expose myself into that kind of stuff. So, but definitely the CBD nano, I mean, I've been extremely impressed with it. And then it's bulletproof for me.
Oh, makes perfect sense. I'll just throw in one quick question because I know Charles got to take it back over. But in the midst of this COVID situation, you're probably aware there's a skyrocket increase in depressive disorders, suicidality, et cetera. Are you anticipating seeing more of that within especially your homeless veteran population?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's the COVID-19 has been increasing. Everything has been basically aggravated. Whatever condition you have, it's very, very challenging for people. Very challenging for everything, really. COVID-19 has been such a challenge, and we're just scratching our heads trying to figure out, how we're going to manage and how we can help people in a much more effective, efficient way and the most safest way possible. So we do see some change though in people and the way they are reflecting more because they are being locked down. So it's some take it the right way where they are reflecting on their lives and then kind of assessing what's more important in their life and then dropping things that are not necessarily good for them and focusing more on their immune system, which is not a, kind of a good thing to do, right? So there is online courses out there and they can educate themselves. So, there is some positive, changes that some people have made. However, yeah, for the homeless population, it's devastating. Okay, it's devastating blow because everything is much harder now to access them, touch them, etc. It's just very, very difficult. Six social distancing, and then if you go to the shelter, and then they cannot accept more than certain amount of homeless at one time in the shelters. That means there are more in the streets. I mean, they are more vulnerable, and then so it's kind of a nightmarish. But I think we've seen the curve flat, and things are getting in the right direction for sure. I mean, we actually, as a country, are doing a much better job than honestly Europe or other countries. If you look at the ratio of the testing and the death rate. And we are testing more, and the death rate is actually getting a lot lower. So scientifically, I think we're on the right track for sure.
We definitely love to hear that news, especially considering the devastation that COVID has caused for industry as well as for mental health. You are a wealth of information, and I would love to continue to follow along and learn more from you. I know you do quite a few speaking engagements. Where will you be speaking next?
I do have speaking engagement in Los Angeles, I believe, and then there is, I was scheduled to speak in Japan and Dubai, but now with COVID-19, everything's shut down. But I do believe that Florida, I have a gig there. I think someone, is going to set up something for speaking in Florida. So Florida and Los Angeles.
Well, I have great respect for you, and I'm definitely taking you up on your offer, and I'm going to come see you, and then we'll do a follow-up show, which will allow us to get even more information out of you. For the viewers that are watching at the end of the show, we'll put up a slide with contact information for both of our guests, and please do reach out. We have a great respect for both of them. So we're heading off to a commercial break, and we'll be right back with Joe Deighan with Taat. See you in a minute.
Hello, coming to you from the outdoors where I do my heat training, and I did my repeats on the hills. It's actually pretty empty, but it's kind of close to 90 degrees. So that's when I squeeze in whatever I can, but I'm actually here to share what Simply Start, Simply Satisfy is. So this organic hemp oil, this is the serum Simply Start, and you can take it twice a day or once. I already took both of them in this morning, so now it's lunchtime. Real quick and easy, yummy, delicious, 30 calories. The other one is Simply Satisfy. So it's a spray and also 3 sprays. You could do it once a day or twice a day. Again, I did it this morning. I'm doing it now at lunch. It helps you take care of your health and wellness. So learn more about them. Remember, 3 simple changes on how you can incorporate into your life. You can learn more at the link below. So stay safe and keep moving, keep training, and take care of your spirit, mind, and body.
Well, welcome back once again. What an amazing show so far, and we're even more excited to bring our next guest. Joe Deighan is founder and CEO of Taat Herb Company. He is an entrepreneur, has built one of the largest USA-based e-liquid manufacturing businesses, J-Juice, and he is now sold to a major tobacco company. Proven ability to innovate new brands, scale businesses, manage cash flow. So a great one to learn from. He pioneered the first hemp cigarette to market. So we're super excited to have him here. He's pushing the envelope for innovation and better for you alternative market of nicotine replacement therapy. So welcome, Joe. And how did you end up where you are today?
I think you're muted, Joe. You have to
Hey, can you guys?
Yep.
You can hear me?
Yep, we got you.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Thank you for having me. Well, yeah, like you said, I had a degree in entrepreneurship. I started my first company 2013, and I've really focused passionately on helping people quit smoking cigarettes. Nicotine addiction is I would consider it a powerful disease. We've got 2 doctors on the show, but as a nicotine addict, it was very challenging for me to quit smoking cigarettes. And so I've been passionately crusading this field of helping people quit smoking cigarettes. And I built up one of the largest e-liquid manufacturing companies in the United States. I was selling products in all 50 states, 26 countries. I was private label manufacturing for 50 brands. I was able to sell that company to a major tobacco company. And throughout this process of selling products in the counterculture industry, I was introduced to CBD all the way back in 2014. So I was exposed to it, through distribution and retail outlets, and a lot of business-to-business relationships. And so I started building a stronger and stronger testimonial for what CBD can do for people, and I became very passionate about helping people actually get off of nicotine. When you're vaping, arguably you're taking in even more nicotine. And I'm a big believer that my new product, Taat Beyond Tobacco, can really help people quit smoking cigarettes and replace something that is a better for you alternative.
Tobacco, and what does it mean?
Yeah, so beyond tobacco means, I actually hold it up here for you guys. Beyond tobacco means that it has zero tobacco, zero nicotine, and it is not psychoactive in THC. So it has trace amounts of THC, but this is considered to be a hemp-based, plant-based, natural product. And so for a cigarette smoker, they're going to have the exact same experience as, say, smoking a light cigarette. It tastes just like a light cigarette. The weight, there's 20 cigarettes in a box. So it's a product that really can help people, replace the habit of smoking a harmful tobacco cigarette with a better for you hemp-based cigarette. The other powerful thing about the product that I want to note is, not only does it replace the habit identically of smoking a cigarette, but it also, CBD has been shown to help nicotine users reduce the urge to have another cigarette. So it's obviously, this industry is in its infancy, but this is something I think is coming for tobacco in a big way. The global tobacco industry being a $925 billion global industry, I really believe that the product that I'm sitting right next to, that me and my team here has created, I think is going to be the most disruptive product to ever hit tobacco, even bigger than vaping.
Amazing. I know as a once upon a time smoker myself that it was one of the hardest things I ever did was to quit nicotine. So where would you get this product? Is it available in all 50 states?
Yeah, so, like you guys mentioned in the beginning of the segment, state by state, they have different rules and regulations on hemp, and it becomes hard to keep up with. Now, fortunately, there's a big difference between hemp and cannabis. Hemp being federally, legalized, we have the framework. So we are able to sell our product in nearly all 50 states, and we also have the opportunity to be able to export our product. So we don't have as much regulatory red tape preventing us from selling our cigarettes, our beyond tobacco cigarettes, all over the country. So it's different than cannabis. I really think that the hemp boom is much bigger than cannabis, and already have the federal green light for us to continue selling products. But we'll be sold in gas stations, convenience stores, smoke shops, head shops, and so forth, all over the country. That's where my relationships exist.
With an attorney on our next show next week, Texas just slid through a regulation to ban smokable hemp. What do you think about that? And do you see that as something that other states are going to do?
Yeah, I'm familiar with it. There was a bill initially launched. I actually talked in Austin when I was living there in Texas on HB 1325 in Texas, banning the manufacturing of smokable goods. And so it seems like now that the Department of Health has stepped up in Texas and said, hey, we don't want any confusion. We're just going to make this so you can't, consumers can't have smokable goods. Of course, I oppose it adamantly. I think smoking, just like the, doctor was talking about earlier about, his belief in nano water. I believe smoking is actually the best way to ingest CBD. It's the way to get the full entourage effect and also to absorb it rapidly. I believe God intended for this plant to be smoked. I know there's a lot of creative applications, but there's nothing quite like smoking it. I really think it's the best way to feel the effects of the cannabinoids. And so I oppose what they're doing, but we're going to see what happens. It's up for public debate. There's going to be more time to question it. I have a lot of friends in Texas that are telling me what's going on the ground level. So we'll see how they enforce it too.
I certainly hope we can turn that around. That's going the wrong way. Dr. Shaw, to you.
Yeah, so want to go back and kind of cite a study that was in 2012 done out of UCLA you're probably familiar with, where they examined an enormous amount of individuals, and it was one of those studies that kind of disproved the idea that smoking cannabis, whether it was hemp or THC rich, had a very low minimal incidence in lung cancer compared to smoking tobacco. So my concern is really, has there been any research to your knowledge yet about combusting hemp with respect to other potential byproducts that may not cause cancer but have other concerns for consumers?
Absolutely. It's fortunate for us on the business side. We can, it's our responsibility. We're taking it upon us to do the emissions tests. We're working with some of the largest cigarette manufacturing companies in the world that have the most advanced cigarette testing equipment. And we are comparing our cigarette, our beyond tobacco cigarette, compared to that of a traditional tobacco cigarette. We're also using equipment. You guys should be familiar with in the CBD realm. It's a gas chromatography with mass spectrometer. And this equipment also helps us to identify the chemical composition of our product compared to a traditional cigarette as well. And so we're really taking it on us to build relationships with laboratories and with scientists that are peer-reviewed and published in numerous journals. Those are some of my best relationships that I have here. It's really important for us that we do the right thing. I believe that this product is a much better for you alternative in comparison of a traditional tobacco cigarette. But there's more science to be done, but I'm very, very confident that it's better for you than a traditional tobacco cigarette.
Well, thank you, Joe, for joining us. I'm very excited about your company and wish you the greatest success. We're going to put up the slide on how users can reach you. And I want to thank everybody for coming on to the Budding Report. Join us next week as we discuss more up-to-date cannabis news and are joined by Chef Melissa Parks from Cooked with Cannabis. I just watched her episode yesterday. She's really a fun person. And, you know, I used to think that an edible meant a gummy or a brownie. And boy, the show is taking people to the next level. We also have Andy Ross of American Rebel. Look forward to having both of these people on our show next week. Thank you very much for coming to the Budding Report, and see you next week.